my hair. It's windy here today. Let's tame this. It's getting a little windy here today, okay? It's a little wild outside. Oh look, I have this. Let's just tame this beast, okay? Let's just do it. I've never tried one of these. Let's try one of these. I got this off Temu last year. I think I've worn it a couple times maybe when I'm like crafting and I absolutely need my hair to stay out of my face. Okay. I don't have on any makeup because I'm going to go back outside later and work in my flower beds. That looks atrocious, but you know, we'll deal with it. I'm going to go back outside later and work my flower bed. So I don't want to put on a bunch of makeup because I need the sunlight. So I wanted to pop on, even though I look like death today, and say howdy. I'm going to work a little bit in here. I've got my glasses because my eyes are not doing great today, but I did remember my glasses. We're going to attach this handle to this raccoon pocketbook. If you remember, I've just got it wedged on there right now. So this tanned raccoon hide that I folded under is, there's the inside of it. It's garment quality tanned. It's really nice. It's going to become a little, I call these kissing locks. Ow, about lost a nail. I call these kissing locks. I don't know what to actually call them, but I'm wanting to put it on this kissing lock because I thought the juxtaposition of the ancient cute stuff and the rustic hide would make a good combo. I don't know if it will or not, but I've got my sewing stuff. I've got my thread. I almost broke a nail. We're off to a great start. Okay, but there's a couple things I wanted to show you before I get into sewing. Let's see here. How do I make that go away? Okay, it's just going to stay there. So those are the flowers I've got for Granny and Papa's graves. I'm going to try to do that this weekend too. I also have this little pocketbook that I just made. I took the top of that raccoon and just folded it back up and made a little flap pocketbook. And it's just a tiny little, fit your cell phone and, you know, a couple things. It's that big. And it's just got the face is the flap. So I need to straighten out a little bit. And so when it folds over, it's like that. I just need to put a handle. I want this to be a little carry. Just need to put a handle on this. So I'm looking at doing that. But I wanted to show you. Hello, everybody. I wanted to show you what I got with my Temu credit because I've not been doing a lot of Temu hauls. David needed some stuff for his first festival, which is coming up the 26th of April. I look like trash today, y'all, but I'm fixing to go back outside and work in the flower beds and get some sun because I'm translucent. And my hair is wild. Look at my hair, y'all. The wind is blowing here today. Look at this. Can you tell the wind is blowing here today? just a little bit. But I'm going to go back out and work. But he needed some stuff for his first festival, which I think is April the 26th. And so I've gotten credit back, which is like one of my favorite things ever. And I've gotten a couple things. Y'all know that my little dog, Oscar de la Hoya, Mr. Oodipo, he passed away the day after Christmas. He had a stroke. He was 12. He was 12. He was a rescue. We'd had him his whole life. Since they found him in a factory parking lot, we had him. And he passed away the day after Christmas. And I'm putting a trellis above his grave that is beside my blue healer's grave. Well, my son's blue healer. And something's backwards. Something's backwards. Hang on. And I'm going to be planting those Eustoma climbing roses. Oh, it's got one bit around, but anyway, this is what it is. It's got a butterfly down here. It's got these really pretty amber beads. I got that, and then I got a memorial wind chime for him as well. So I'm getting my wind chimes going for the year. That's going to annoy the crap out of me, so in the floor it goes. And then I just got like things I needed. You're from Myanmar. I'm from the Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee. Howdy, everybody. I'm having a better day than normal. Temu has these really neat clothespins. I don't know the quality yet. We'll see the quality. But they do have grippies right here, and they're like clamps, and they feel pretty good. And they've got like a flat with a, they feel pretty good. I line dry a lot of stuff in the summer because I've got that roll out, roll in clothesline. So it came in this huge pack, and it was like 80-something cents cheaper than Walmart on their nasty ones, so I got them. Don't know how they'll hold up, but I will give you feedback. And then just to test them, I got them compared with just the regular wood ones. So we will compare. Let's see if these are the same quality as Walmart. It's a bag in a bag, Joy. So it's 2 of these packs. So you get 40. Those actually feel way stronger than the ones that, that's a really strong little clothespin, y'all. I'm not going to lie. I'm having to really work at that. I kind of like these. If they hold up better this winter, because I have a basket that is next to my line, and it hangs on the back of my little porch area that I stand on to roll my line out. And if they last longer, throw the trash away. If they last longer, I'll let you know, because they are out in the elements with me, and I've been out in the elements, and that is why my hair is, it's windy here today. It's windy. Okay, and then the next thing I got, this is something I've been eyeballing for a while, and I've been letting credit just accrue for a long time. A long time. And it is, I think it was $13 if you buy it outright. But I've been eyeballing this since last year. I like to sit on the front porch when I get it cleaned up and pretty for the summer. It's not cleaned up pretty yet. I'm going to work on that today. The wind in March here has been horrible. It's everything sideways and has been blown off the porch several times. And I'm going to change up my patio cushion covers. And it's just, it's been on a spring here. Had a tornado the other week. We've had a spring here. Winter was bad enough. Spring seems to going to be about the same. What I liked about this one is it did come with the 4-prong anchor hook, which is so much stronger than just the 2, because you will lean if you get just the 2, and it's really metal. Oh, look at, hey, Elizabeth, pay attention. I never said I was smart, I said I was educated. 2 very separate things. Okay, we're going to assemble this really quick. I think it's about like 30 or 34 inches when you get it done. Hello. And it is real metal. The top has got leaves that go out from under the bowl. Let me sit this down for a second. Save the bubble wrap. If y'all are just here for the first time, my name's Elizabeth. This is the Hillbilly Heart channel. I am from Appalachia, the Cumberland Plateau area in Tennessee. I'm a retired parole officer. And whoever just said that, I'm a retired parole officer. I used to supervise murderers and the violent male offenders. I also used to supervise the sex offenders. So if you come on here being super inappropriate, I do know the avenues to which to report you. So don't be inappropriate, okay? This just has the one on the back that holds it, but it is very well, it's welded on there. It is like tack welded on there, y'all. I have high hopes for this to make it through the summer. That's why I've been eyeballing it. Almost all of the reviews were positive. And it has a deeper dish on it than most of the bird trays or the fountains. And I was really in high hopes that it would last at least a year or 2 when I bought it. You just heard my husband come home. He went to the store. Okay, one thing I really like is that this bowl has got the bird on the outside, and it is fairly deep. And that's important because we're going to do something else with this. So when I sit outside, I want to do something specific with this little bird fountain. I I don't have to tell anybody anything, because when you make comments like that, you do it yourself. You people are crazy. I got one of these mini little fountains, solar fountains, to go in it. And I got the weakest motor, so it just barely bubbles over. If you know, you know. And I want to fill it with water when I'm out there, and have the, you're gonna have to straighten these out so it won't, this is so it won't go near the edge and put your water out. But I got the weakest motor so that it just barely bubbles. It just barely bubbles. And so I'll have a little bird fountain that will be kind of comforting when I'm out there. I'm going to sit on the porch and crochet a lot this summer, I would say. So I really like that. Oh, I lost one. I had it all in there. And I've had several of these fountains, and they're actually decent. Hang on, I got to put that under a cord. They're actually fairly decent if you get used to them and you keep them up. I, being stupid, left all of mine. I'm going to have to glue these in. I left all of mine in the freaking pool last year, and I don't know how they're going to fare starting out the summer. So if that completely foobarred them up, I'll have to get a new one for the pool. But I will say, if you're going to spend the money on one for your pool, go ahead and spend the money and get the one that has the light. And so at night, after it's charged up the battery, it will actually have lights that go through the water spray. It makes it really pretty. I mean, you just might as well go ahead and do that. And I want it to go through that, but it's not going to. That's okay. I'll finish glued. It is a good idea when you get these little things right here, if they don't go through the foam layer on the back of this, go ahead and give them just a tiny bit of glue, and make sure you get the glue that is okay to put in water, because the birds are obviously going to wash and drink out of this. And it's a special type of food grade glue. It's not super expensive. It's, you can get it at any hardware store or Walmart. Anyway, that will charge and go in the lot, and you get like 5 or 6 nozzles with it. And that will sit in here, and I'm going to clip my straws to be the length I need them to be and glue them in there. And that will stay in that and make a little spray. And I can sit out there and enjoy a little bird bath moment by the porch. And I'm hoping all the neighborhood dogs that like to slip under my fence will not come over here and tear it up. That's my hope. I'm trying to figure out which one I want on here. So it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4 nozzles and 2 pressure valves. And a collar, 2 pressure valves and a collar. And I honestly think I may start out with I don't know. Here's your collar. You pop that into whichever one you're wanting to use, and you have to twist it to lock it on. Oh, Lord have mercy. It's too early in the day for me to do this. Okay, you have to twist it to put it on. And that is the one that's got quite a little spray on it. And then you just pop it on the little neck. Anyways, go take my husband to pop that on. I pop that on the little neck, and you can just change them out as you want to. I'm hoping that one won't put it over the edge. So if it does, then I will go back to just the one little pinpoint collar, and we'll do that. Or they've got one collar that's got 5 tiny, tiny little holes in there. And that would even work really well for the birds. So that's what I'm going to be doing later. I've got all these solar lights that I got to put out. They stick in the ground. I'm going to be using those as spotlights around the yard. And then the last thing I was able to get was this spotlight solar light. And this is going to go onto my American flag. If you need to anchor it on a wall or a post, they do send even sheetrock anchors and screws. Mine's going to be staked in the ground, and it's going to shine up onto my American flag. Save the bubble wrap. And you put that down in there. Now, if you just want to anchor it into a wall, it comes like that. You just drill through the holes, but mine's going to go in the ground. And then it's got the adjusters here, and it's going to go up onto my American flag at night. So that's actually pretty decent quality for no more than it was. So that's the stuff I have been looking at for a while, wanting to get. And since David did that order for the festival, to prep for the festival, I went ahead and got that. The one thing I will say, if you are not going to tack weld or glue with a metal glue, the bird bath, the fountain, if you have a storm or a lot of wind, go back out there and check it, because it will loosen up. It absolutely will loosen up. Okay. Put those up there in case I need them. Now, I think what I'm going to do, and I don't know if this is going to work, I got my little sewing bag out that's got all my stuff in there. I'm going to start, when I sew this bag, I'm going to start with that tiny little needle in there and see if it will go through these tiny little holes. What I may have to do is actually use my awl and make the holes in the raccoon hide, and then put it through, put it through the hole in the handle. Let me show you what I'm talking about. That make more sense. These itty bitty little tiny holes in there, I have to sew through those. So put it through the little hole in the handle and then sew it through the hide itself. And I have two thicknesses of the waxed jute that's got the metal run through it, because I want these to last. It's not waxed jute, it's waxed twine. And it's got the metal through it in one layer. And these are really strong, really strong. This is what I use to make the raccoon and coyote hats and bobcat hats that I make. And we are going to see if that works. I don't know if it will or won't. And if you want to know what I'm currently crocheting a catfish. And it's going to be like that long. I've got one that's going to be even bigger. And I'm going to let David take those to the festival with him. That's the plan anyway. It may not work out. That's the plan. Put that there. Okay, I've got my snips. I've got my needles. I've got my twine. I've got my scissors too, in case this is too much for my snips. Ouch. And we've got our handle. So this was the black brushed metal option for the handle. It was on Temu. On Temu, you can get one for like $3 to $6, depending on what seller you use. Comes pre-drilled with the little holes. On eBay or any other shopping area, these will cost you about $14 a piece. Same thing, absolute same item. So now if everybody's always wondering why I shop on Temu, that would be why I shop on Temu. And what we're going to do is we're going to affix this hide, this raccoon with the tail. Now what I did with him, he was a garment quality tan. You can see where I've sewed him. I'm going to go back and pull his fur out. Made sure to put the tail lined up in the middle, because I had to cut some of his belly out where the hair was not as thick as I wanted it to be. So I've got him just rolled down right now. What we're going to have to do is try to figure out the angle of this handle and cut it down so that when he opens, he folds open. So I've got to mark this on each side. And that is how far it will go down, because it needs to be open on the side so that it opens up farther. So that's what we're going to do. He has to be open on the, or angled on the side so he opens up farther when he opens. So that's what we're going to do. I think before I do that, while I'm sitting here and trying to have my eyes adjust from being outside, and I think what I'm going to do is go through this bag and choose the handle for this little tiny little bag that I made. This is the top portion of that raccoon. That is the tail portion of that raccoon. We don't waste anything around here. So this raccoon is going to become 2 bags. And we do live in Appalachia. We do, my husband's a trapper and a tanner. He works for he traps solely on one. I like these. He traps solely on one huge cattle farm that is overrun with coyotes. And and the black bear, and I mean it's just overrun. But he's made basically after the coyotes, raccoons, skunks, otters, and beaver, because those have really unbalanced the land. The land is so unhealthy. The TWRA has actually come in and evaluated the land and been like, yeah, y'all got to get the wild hogs and everything else under control, because there are no birds or insects coming in because the nest predators are so bad. So he's been primarily hunting there, or trapping there. And these come with 2 handles, but honestly, you only need one, unless I wanted to go real fancy on this pocketbook. You only really need one. But I like to make these little rustic bags. And I'm going to make some that are a little bit less rustic, but I like to make these little rustic bags. People tend to like them. I do make the ones that are like made out of the coyote. They look like the possibilities bags, the old powder horn bags that the men used to carry when they hunted to keep their powder dry and stuff. I do also make those, and they tend to sell quite easy as well. But I craft a lot because I'm now retired due to a neuromuscular disorder. That's what it's going to look like. And I'm used to working like 80, 90 hours a week when I was working. And now that I'm retired due to my neuromuscular disorder, it's like MS, I get really bored. And I have a lot of arthritis and a lot of issues where I need to keep my hands moving. I need to stay engaged and keep my body going, because when I get still, it tends to worsen. So this is what I found out works for me. It may not work for everybody else, but it definitely works for me. And so these are pretty easy to put in. You just want to anchor them on the sides. And this one has got 2 layers of hide on each side, because that is where I sewed them together and I overlapped and did a double seam. So I should, in theory, be able to just attach these like most of my others. And we should have a tiny little handle in almost no time. I did take these down to my mom's and use her industrial sewing machine to do the large seams. Otherwise, I have to sew everything by hand. I think it's a little tedious. So that's what he will look like when I get him done. Just a simple little bag, and then I'll go around all the seams and puff his fur out. You won't really be able to see the seams once I puff his fur out. And his little face will straighten up with time. He's just been in a bag. So people really like these. These are just cute little, options. We come from an area where fur is still used to make lots and lots and lots of things. We don't get into the fake stuff too much around here. A lot of people still prefer their chaps and stuff to be made out of rawhide that's been, from a farmer that raised the cow and butchered the cow and then turned the hide into rawhide. And people just around here really enjoy still doing things the old way. These come with the little grommet things that you can punch them into. And I do have a grommet machine, a little grommet pincher. But I think what I'm going to do is punch the holes and then lace it with leather so that it has some fringe on either side, and put some beads on it. That's my idea. I do have Chicago screws, but I'm thinking a laced leather look might be nicer. Go with it better. Not necessarily nicer, but it might go with it. Now, normally I just buy split reins. My local Amish guy at the leather shop, he makes split reins. Really awesome, good quality. But his wife passed away last week, and I've been kind of been planning a trip down there, but I didn't want to bother him during this time. So I might, the next time I'm down there, get some more split reins. I think I have one left. So I bought these little kits. And I think they'll work out just fine. Pretty sure they will. Pretty sure. Let's see. I put a lot of stuff on my little stand over here. Let's see. Yes, I have these Chicago screws if I want to use them other than lacing. But I may just make holes and lace it. Now this is the last thing. I put it out of the bag. I forgot to show you. This is the last thing I got with the credit. I almost forgot to show you. And I've got a few. I like to wear copper jewelry. I've got a few pieces. I like it when they get old and change colors. I got this. It's just a plain copper. And it's, you just pull it out to put it on and pinch it back. You kind of mold it to the shape of your arm. They are rather large. So everyone should be able to find one that fits. I don't like them all the way closed. I like for them to go up on my arm a little bit. And then I fold the ends in a little bit so they won't hang on stuff. I like those. I like copper jewelry. Copper is really good for you. Make sure you get the like 99.9% pure copper. And when it changes, it almost turns a purple color. So, okay, let's get started on this. See if I can do this. I won't guarantee I can. We're going to go ahead and put our glasses on our forehead. I'm not putting on makeup or looking any nicer because I'm fixing to go back outside and work. That's just the truth of it. Let's start with this little guy because I don't know how this is going to work. I honestly don't know how it's going to work. And I'm looking at the punched holes thinking, should I just sew it because the leather looks a little too large and I can't get any other types of leather until I go back to the Amish leather shop. And I'm thinking he's still closed from where his wife passed away. I don't want to bother him during this time. I just really don't. This is the thread I use, which is really stiff and thick, as you can see. And it is that way because it has to be. And wrong bag. It has to be, and it helps hold the metal clasp to without breaking the thread. Now I've got a big needle in here I'm going to have to use. Let me find it. I stabbed myself with it earlier. There it is. So to sew this one on, I'm going to use this. Oh, and I already have some thread on it. I'm going to use my big leather needle. Let's hope I don't poke myself in the process because that hurts like a booger. Now, with this, both sides are finished the same, so it doesn't matter which side you use. Both sides are finished the same. And you just kind of find your placement. Now, the pre-drilled holes are about 1.5 inches, 2 inches apart. But I have found just to go up and down about, I do it honestly about 7 to 10 times. Seems to work. Seems to work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double this, because I'm one of those people that is a little OCD when I make something and it's going to somebody. Now, if you want to look at the stuff that David has in his shop, his Etsy shop is Hillbilly Heart Decor on Etsy. And I think he's still got some beaver hides, some raccoon hides. I think he's still got one coyote hide. All the bobcats are gone. The otter's gone. He still has the buffalo tooth necklaces that I made. And I don't know, you'll have to go look and see what all's in his shop right now. So what I'm going to do is put this on this back side. And I made this side extra thick. Oh, I found you a box right here on the end. It's got the brown paper sticking out of it. Will that work?
Yeah, it'll work, but it could be half that size. Something like that little box on top right there would be good.
Okay, you can have it then when I get it out. So you're going to start from the inside. And I'm going to go down here and look. You can turn it inside out, but that kind of messes me up more than it helps me. And y'all, you're sewing animal hide, so it's, even though it's garment quality, you have to push to get the needle through. So, hello, Michaela. Don't go into this thinking you're not going to use muscles, because you are. And then you're going to find the hole on the outside. Put your needle there. Push it through. Don't pull your thread all the way through on the first lap. You're going to push your needle through on the outside, find that hole in the leather, push it through. And then you're going to go back to the inside and look for the tail of your thread, and you're going to put your needle through it to make the loop of the first round. And you want to make sure that you keep that up against that side so that we're sewing it securely into place. And sometimes I will actually go over on the inside. I'll flip them inside out and just go around them a couple times on the inside of the thread and make like a figure 8 in between the threads so that it has a cushion for the thread to pull against when people are packing these. Again, I'm OCD. People are, probably going to purchase this for my husband. This is my sanity during the winter months, is to craft, and I'm trying to finish some stuff up. And if they purchase something, I want it to last. Now we're just going to go through that as much as this thread will let us. And if you kind of part the fur, you can kind of follow the thread to follow and get your next punch. You can just kind of follow the same hole that the thread's going in, so that you don't mess up the leather anymore. I hurt myself. I punched myself on the needle. And some people like to turn them inside out. I don't have a lot of luck with that, so I'm not going to. But you can, if you need to, turn it inside out. And this guy's got so much fur, it's hard to do this, but we're going to get it done. Once you get a few holes going through, it's much easier to find. Much easier to find. So that's our second loop. And these drilled holes in this leather are quite thin, so every once in a while, just make sure that you are lined up still correctly. We're going to go through again. And these needles are sharp and they have an angled edge on them, and I have so many wounds from them, so do be careful. These leather needles are no joke. They're quite hostile. Okay, and you're going to smack yourself in the face with a leather strap. Just get used to it because your hands are busy. All right, this is our third punch through. And I'm going to go until I have these drilled holes pretty full, because the less the string moves and the less they rub together, the less likely they are to break. So, and I'm one of those that likes to make sure everything's done 11 times. I'm just anxious to see what it looks like when I get it on. I don't always line these. Some people prefer to see the inside of the hide. A lot of people, that's why they buy them. They want to see the inside of the hide to make sure they've actually bought an authentic material. And so I don't line these all the time unless I particularly am making something that I think would be cuter lined, or is going to go to somebody a customer that would want a lining. I don't always line these. But a lot of people just want to see the inside of the hide. And so I leave them au naturel for those individuals. Woo, I almost got myself that time. Okay, and we've gone through this like 4 times now. I've got a little bit of a tail. I'm going to punch this in. And what I'm going to do is the first time I'm going to loop, I'm going to pull everything really, really, really tight. And then I'm going to loop under the first time, turn my needle, and this is where these big honking needles become a pain in the buttocks. Turn my needle and do a knot. And let's see if I can do that twice. My needle may be too long. I may have to cut my needle off and tie it. Yeah, I have to cut. And now we're going to cut this big honking needle off. Set it out of your way so that it's not going to get you accidentally, because it will get you. We're going to finish off that knot. Trying to keep my strings even. Gonna finish off that knot, and I'm going to do this a couple more times. But I'm going to go the other way to create a different tension, so that no matter how they're slinging or holding this pocketbook, it has an anchor point, because I'm, again, one of those, I tend to do things too much as opposed to too little. And there's a spot where you have to stop. Like if you were drilling something into a piece of wood, you want to secure it, but you don't want to drill so many holes that you deplete the integrity of the wood. And it's kind of the same with a garment quality hide. You want to affix it, but you don't want to ruin the integrity of the hide, because that is what is going to hold it on there. It's what's going to keep it together. So it is a balancing act, and I've made enough stuff now. I've kind of figured it out. But it will hold a wallet or a phone and your necessities, you know, fairly easily. And I also am like, okay, maybe a teeny bopper that gets this as a gift. And I tend to, that's why I tend to secure things a little bit over. Now on the end of those two, I'm going to split them and tie a couple knots just in those two. And I'm going to tie the two the same way. And then we're going to do a square knot, reverse it. And that just gives a little bit of extra security. It kind of locks that whole little knot series we just did, just locks it into place. And so that's what it looks like when it's stitched. And what I do sometimes is go in here and I'll go around the back and cushion the back from moving. Then I'll go under the thread and cushion the thread. It's whatever you think you need to do. I will kind of hold this, determine how much weight I think they're going to be putting in it. And then I'll secure it, you know, however much I think needs to be in there for that amount of weight. And then when I get done with it, I'm getting hair everywhere. When I get done with it, I will take it outside and brush all the seams to get all the hair caught, you know, that's caught in the threads. You won't be able to see the seams when I get it all brushed out. And I will brush it really, really, really good, because as I work with them, I kind of knock a lot of hair out. And so you want to make sure that you go in there and brush really, really, really good and get all that hair that you've loosened out. I'm trying to make sure I get the arc the size I want for this pocketbook. I'm very particular about my pocketbooks. Very particular. So it's going to be about like that again. So I've got this one in here nice and secure. I'm going to have to get the other one in there, and it'll be about like that. If you have a smaller hide, you can do an all-together one, which you'll probably see me do at some point. But this guy was big enough that I could do two. So that's what we're doing. I don't waste anything. I know I look like my Scotch-Irish father, but my mama is mostly Native. And so I'm Scotch-Irish and Cherokee from the Lenape tribe that comes from the Delaware tribe, actually, which is really interesting to learn. I take after my dad, and I don't tan. It takes all summer for me to get a tan, y'all. And but when I do, I hold it until like the end of winter. So take me a while to get it back now. But so we went to powwows and kept up with the tribe when I was young. And these are just things. They taught me how to weave. They taught me how to do a bunch of stuff. I always wanted to make a drum, but only the men were able to make drums. So I never got to go make a drum. But I do stay up. Oh, this thread is so hard to get there. I do stay up on my weaving and my other stuff. I do make ceremonial sticks and talking sticks. I do make rattles sometimes. And I do them all in the way that I was taught by my tribe. So that's important to me. A lot of people don't know about these things, don't understand the lifestyle, don't understand the bond you have with land and animals when you have this kind of life. They just see it as something that they don't understand, and so they are very aggressive toward it. And you know, you have to, you kind of, sadly, you have to go through life and understand that there are going to be people that are going to be ignorant. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. They're just going to be ignorant of other people's lifestyles, and they're not going to understand them. And so they're going to fear them and attack them. And I just try to make sure that my energy doesn't go toward those individuals. I mean, that's all you can do. And I try to help educate the people that are open to getting educated, and then we just try to, you know, maintain our lifestyle, which is very close to nature, very close to the land. And, you know, a lot of people live detached from nature. We've got our first loop in. We're going to go through the loop. Pull it tight. You see how you see here how thick that thread is? That is a waxed woven thread with metal. The metal is covered. Oh, that's good. The metal is covered by all the woven thread, but it gives it more strength. But we just try to educate people. We do a lot of conservation work. We help a lot of biology stuff get done. We put in samples of animals that are trapped so that the state can do their studies and see what's going on. And we've had a big boom with the black bear this year in my area, which is funny. The only hunting I did last year was an archery hunted for black bear. And I don't get to hunt a lot because I don't always have the days to feel like doing it, and my body doesn't always want to do it. And but I did archery hunt. I have a crossbow. I've put my compound down when I got injured and picked up a crossbow. Felt kind of bad about that for a few years. Felt like I was wimping out, but with my disorder, you know, I still want to be able to enjoy life. That's the only hunting I did. And only thing I saw was a sow with her cubs. We watched them play for a long time. You can't harvest anything that's got cubs. And you can't harvest anything below a certain poundage. You know, you're careful what you harvest. And we was watching them play. We watched them play for a long time. And then the wind shifted and she winded us. And Buddy, she charged. And she decided when she got it kind of closer to us, she would dart through the woods and run off. And she was a heifer now. But it was an interesting experience. I used to hunt wild hogs a lot when I was younger. So I'm used to all that. But I'm very domesticated compared to what I was when I was young. So, but I used to be a wilderness boot camp counselor, which is where I got attacked with an axe. I saved 13 kids and a female counselor from being attacked, and he attacked me. And that's where I got injured, and I've had a bunch of leg and knee surgeries, and that's how I acquired this disorder. And so it got so bad it's now spread to my organs. So I'm stuck at home now as I kind of learn how to balance my health. And some days I do really, really well, and some days it doesn't do really, you know. And so I just kind of take it. I did a trip to Georgia to see my grandbabies last week, and it has taken me seriously like a week to get over that. That was a hard trip, y'all. We did a fast trip. We wanted to go take their birthday presents to them and just see them for a few minutes. And so I didn't get to really spend much time with them. I got to spend a whole day with them. And it was great to be able to see them because they're just a year old. And they recognize me, you know, because I video call and we do word pattern recognition and phrasing that helps them know who I am when I show up. And as they get older, that will get better. But that was a hard trip because it's like an 8-9 hour trip on the way down because you have to go through Atlanta. On the way back, if you time it just right, you can get through and make it in like 6 or 7. But down, the traffic is so bad. Okay, and here it is. Now, like I said, I'm going to have to take it out. And on these seams here, which I did a little wedge so that when you put your stuff in there, it'll puff and give you enough room for what you're carrying. I go out and I will brush my seams because they look kind of janky right now with all the fur, but I'll brush them back and get all the fur untangled from the sewing. You won't be able to tell where the seams are. And there he is. There's his little face. And if you want to, you can do a little magnet clasp on here. It'll almost be at the bottom and the inside and on his nose. But they stay folded really well on their own. And you can either open it or you can, you know, like that, or you can push it all the way through. But they have enough flexibility. I just normally hold them like this and open them, get in there. It's just a day bag or an evening. I don't know where well, I mean, I would totally carry this evening, but I'm weird, you know, I'm a little weird. I think he's cute. I'm going to have to kind of clip his nose so it straightens out before he has pictures made. He's cute, though. Are you waiting for your granddaughter now? I tell you what, grandkids change your whole world perspective. So I was a really strict parent. Of course, I was a parole officer, and so I had to raise my children in a manner where they saw the world around them and was aware, because I supervised people that would come out of prison and retaliate, and luckily I had a really good working rapport with all of my caseload. I've only been threatened a couple times, and honestly, I don't take those very serious. I am aware when somebody's being released and we had friction or I had to do a pretty severe warrant. I'm like, okay, be aware, be hyper aware, you know. But so far, I've not really had any problems. But I also think they know I'm a huge outdoorsman. I'm always armed. I don't think anybody would really give me any crap, but I'm always prepped. But I had to prepare my kids to know when, if there was somebody stalking us when we were out in public, that we had keyword. We had 3 places to meet at every place we went. We had 3 avenues to leave. We had passwords for pickup if somebody said they were there to pick them up. And I also educated my children on how easy it is to break the law and how hard it is to get off of supervision, get out of prison. These things are not made to be easy. Therefore, it consumes the majority of your life. And I stressed to them how severe the law was when it was, punished, and to not violate the law. But I still, as an officer, saw times when I don't think justice was done. And I think that the law was used as a weapon. And so there was a lot with my job I didn't agree with. A lot. But I was there for the offenders, and I was there to basically teach them how to stay out of prison and be a productive member of society. And that's what I did. It was a very serious job. And I liked it because, if you go into a job and you have the power to change lives, I'm all about that. All about that. I'm trying to measure this because I'm going to have to trim, and I don't know if I want to trim. I may have to take it outside to trim it. I've got to trim, and I've got to go down on the side so that when it opens, it has more space to open. So this little kissing hook is going to be in the middle of this, and it's going to be a large clutch with a tail, and I just thought that was cute. I name all of my hides. I name all of my taxidermy. We take very good care of them. They're the animals on this land. This is what I live amongst, and we have a large respect for them. But I guess people that don't grow up like I did, super rural and part of a tribe, going to powwows, I guess people don't always recognize that. That's okay. I was the only kid at our powwow that had freckles, but I was never treated any different. They treated me just like all the other kids. I had a boy and a girl, and they were 1 year, 1 month, 1 day apart. That was rough. With my little boy, I started out with twins and lost one, and so my daughter had twins. I was tired for like 3 years straight. I didn't think I was ever going to get to stop buying. I don't ever get to stop buying diapers. I was like, I'm never going to get to stop buying diapers. No, it's not hard to break the law. That's a very crazy statement. But the more I saw as I sat for so many years in courtrooms and criminal proceedings, others will put you in a position where it's so easy to have to defend yourself, and it's necessary, but the law will not be on your side, even though you may be on your property in your home and pushed to a point where you have to defend yourself. The law will side against you if you've got a certain judge in the seat, or a certain public defender not doing their job, or a prosecuting attorney that's really good. It's a chess game. And the more I sat there, I was like, this, it's honestly, it is a money racket. To a certain extent, because very little is punished now unless there is clout to go along with it. So you don't see a lot of judges just upholding the law. You see a lot of judges wanting high-profile cases so they get themselves in the newspaper, so that they get done being a judge, they can climb to other positions in the area. And I was like, no. So irritated. I really liked the parole board. Those few people on the parole board didn't have high profiles. They had to review hundreds, if not thousands, of cases a year. They made it based on a template where they scored the offender, and it was much less personal, because I don't care who you think the judge is, there's going to be a bias to anybody sitting and determining the law. There's going to be a bias. And to say that someone, if someone gets over and says, I'm not biased, well, being unbiased is also a bias. So there's really no way to not be biased. But I saw a lot that was really frustrating. Hi, Ashley. Honey, I've been thinking of you every day. I sent you a message the other day, let you know I was thinking of you. I hope things get better for you. I have 2 whole shelves of plants here. But they're about, I got a new shelf to put in my craft room, and it's behind the shelf right now, but I've got the lights on them and everything. Oh my gosh, I have way too many plants. Like way too many plants. It looks like a jungle when I put them outside on the porch. Okay, I'm gonna have to just break down and cut this poor hide, but oh my God, I hate to do it. May cut, sew, and then trim when I get done sewing. I'm almost scared to do it. I may just put darts in it and then sew and then trim outside. Now, when I cut down on the sides, I will then also take thread and go around and around and around where those stop. And what I'll do is I'll cut on either side of the seam, fold it down, and then go around and around and around and around so that that seam stays locked, and so that then locks that even tighter and more secure. There's so much to take into. It's frustrating sometimes. So if you've got side seams, that's what you have to do. If you've got just regular fur, regular height, that's you still got to do it. It's got to be done that way. You have to reinforce any kind of rip or puncture into the hide. You have to reinforce somewhere. That's why I wrap the others and provide cushion because I don't want them to. I'm gonna have hair everywhere. I'm gonna have to vacuum my whole entire room, clean everything. Oh my gosh! But you really have to be super careful and always be super nice to the leather. Let's see if I get down this far. I'm making a divot cut. No, it's got to go a little bit more. And I'm trying to salvage as much of the bag as possible so that whoever gets this gets a really decent sized bag. Because the body of the raccoon with the, you want as much as possible for them to have. Is that gonna work? I'm gonna go just a hair farther so I get good fur on everything. This is the worries I have when I make stuff. Do they get good quality fur? Make sure it's not going to rip. You know, do your best sewing. It gets a little irritating sometimes. But, you know, I don't know what I'm going to end up keeping and what my husband's going to end up, you know, saying, oh, I want to sell that, because he buys me the stuff to craft with. So, you know, he says I want to sell that. I'm like, okay. And I just craft. So I make everything to the quality that if it was going to be sold, you know, make it to that quality. But I never know what I'm going to end up with and what I'm not. I just don't. Ashley, honey, I'm praying for y'all. I really am. I hope things, I know how bad it's been on this end sometimes when you lose a family member, and behavior is just not always what you want and wish to see. And I've been praying for you a lot this week. Everywhere I've gone, I've been thinking of you. It's not a fun thing to have to deal with. And then what I do is I just kind of fold over the other side and make sure it kind of looks square when I'm cutting. Okay, so we've got that cut. What I'm going to do is take some thread now, and I'm going to reinforce the divots. You want to do that before you put your mechanism in there, because it's hard to get around it and under it after you've got it in there. Oh, what did I do with that giant needle? I thought I put it where I wouldn't stab myself, but now I'm not so sure. Oh dear. Did I put it back in the bag? Oh dear, we've got a rogue needle. Oh no. Oh, there it is. It was under my snips. Okay, so we're going to get a good amount of this waxed twine with the metal off again. And we're going to get our scissors, because it's got metal in it. Cut. We're going to double this as well. And we're going to go around and around and around that divot and anchor that fur together again so that it won't want to pull. And it doesn't pull easily, but again, OCD tends to win out with me. So there you go. Yeah, I know everybody's been thinking of Ashley. I've had her on my mind every day this week, multiple times every day. And was at the endocrinologist the other day when I knew she was going through the funeral process, and I messaged her and let her know I was thinking of her. It's difficult to lose a family member, and honestly, it's because of other family members' behavior half the time. I used to do counseling, and honestly, the most difficult thing that I saw, I'm going to turn this guy inside out for a minute. The most difficult thing I saw was loss, grief, and then grief compounded by other people's behaviors. And it was frustrating to see something that could be controlled so easily get so out of hand because people are just not nice people. So what we're going to do is we're going to pinch these together right here. I've turned it inside out. I'm going to pinch the bottom of these together, and I'm going to do about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, and just by this split, and just wrap it to reinforce the bottom of this split. Like I said, somebody's possibly going to end up with this, and I want them to have a bag that's going to last. So we're going to pull through them. We're going to loop through our twine again. I almost double everything I do because I'm OCD. I'm not really, but I fear I have tendencies when I craft. And I think it's because I never know where they're going to end up. If it was just for me, I'd just make me a little bag and put it together. But Mary, it's good to see you. I've been down on the farm. I've had to go to my endocrinologist. They took a giant amount of blood again for me, and I was just sick for the last couple of days. And I finally got back up here and did physical therapy yesterday, and I've got all that squared away. And I thought, it's time to say hi. I'm still kicking to everybody and let them know I'm feeling better. I'm bouncing back from after that trip. I'm still very swollen. I'm very swollen. But it will get better. Now, here's what I'm going to do with my tail. I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to stitch it up in what I'm stitching. And that's just an extra bracer, nothing won't fray that tail. It won't come undone. The knot won't come undone. It's just a little extra security for me. Then I'll snip off what's still sticking out of the end. I will snip it off. But it ties that up in there, and I feel a little bit better about that. Do a couple more rounds here just to reinforce that edge. It's going to have a lot of wear and tear on it from the mechanism opening and closing. And make sure that people get an item that's going to be with them for a while. So we're going to, oh man, this sewing leather is like, honestly, it's like physical therapy. It really is. Okay, I'm going to lock that, and then I'm going to go up through my stitches. Come out, thank you. I'm going to do a couple of these locks. And then I'm going to go up through a couple more. I'm currently crocheting a catfish two-berry right now, and I will probably let David sell it. I'm going to do two. I'm doing a green one right now, and then I'm going to do a blue one. I got really nice, it's a blue-gray. I got really nice yarn, and so I was like, before I go into this really awesome yarn, I'm going to use the yarn I have, which is still pretty, and I'm going to try the pattern first, which is turning out really well. It's not a super, super difficult one. It's just very time-consuming, but I'm going to try it first with that one. And I don't know if I'm going to keep one or sell. I don't know. But I told David, I said, probably you can sell these. I said, I'm just challenging myself and learning new stitches. Okay, and now I'm going to lock my knots with one final knot. And, you know, it seems like this is like a, you know, time-consuming, wasteful step, but it's very important to lock that work and to give that corner a reinforcement. because somebody's going to be packing this and, you know, opening and closing it, and you want it to last. So I'm going to do 2 locking stitches at the ends. And then I can trim off the extra that I pulled through and stitched up with it. Okay, so that's what it looks like at the end. And it just pinches and reinforces that divot right there, so it has an anchor point to stop, and it will pull on the stitching rather than the fur. And you just do that to help people. Now I'm gonna have to use a smaller needle for this this lid. Oh no, maybe not. Hang on. Let's see if my eye will go through. I don't know. I've never sewed one of these before. We're all gonna learn together. Oh no, my needle will not go through. I'm gonna have to use a smaller needle. So there may be such thing as I have to get, oh no, it might go through. There may be such thing as I have to get my awl out. Oh, all but my eye will go through. I can still use like a half-size needle, but if I can't, then what you do is you get your awl out, and as you're sewing, you punch your holes and go through. It makes it a little bit more time consuming, but you know, you want people to get a quality item. So here's the inside of the bag where it's seamed. And this is a tiny little hole, which I will have to stitch with smaller twine before he can go anywhere. Stitch or patch. Sometimes I patch them. It depends on where they are. If they're on a seam, I tend to patch them with a very heavy fabric glue. And if they're in the middle like that, I can pinch them and sew them if they're tiny. So it's just kind of what looks best at the moment. Oh, I forgot to come in on it. Just jibber jabbering and not doing what I need to be doing. Very much like me. The first day we were down there, my little grandson was starting to kind of get sick. And they've all got like allergies or a cold or something right now. We actually got out of that without catching whatever they were just coming down with somehow. But he's still sick and he sounds so pitiful, and I feel so bad for him. And I just, bless his little heart. You just want to be down there so you can just comfort him, you know. And I'm so far away. I do have a truck driver friend that was like, I'll haul you down there and pull off the interstate and they can come get you. I thought that was super kind. He's my best friend's husband. He's like, I'll haul you down there. He's like, I go down there a couple times a week. So I may do that in the future if my health stays good during the summer when I have my better months. I may do that and be like, okay, we'll see how my health hangs on. I have high hopes. My blood work is still not showing great for my thyroid, but I don't think it's ever going to. Now that we know I've had a long-term issue with my thyroid that they just found. If you get on Mounjaro, if you have any thyroid issues and you get on Mounjaro, or you have a large weight loss even without Mounjaro, your thyroid will present and show its true colors. And so I thought, you know, I was like, what is going on? And then we went back through all my records, and I have swung from hyper to hypo my entire life. Just nobody caught it because they wouldn't look at enough blood tests in a row when they reviewed my files. And so now I've lost so much weight, and I'm still a heifer, you know, but I've lost so much weight that my body kind of got shocked and awed. And I've had to, my thyroid kind of got stunned, I guess is the best way to explain it. And so he's not working so great. And so we're trying to get him started back up. I had some nodules at one time, and I'm here to tell you, I put castor oil packs on my neck for probably a couple months. And when we went back, the nodules were much smaller, so they decided I didn't need to do anything with the nodules. Castor oil's a miracle, y'all. And now I'm just trying to get the blood work into normal range, because that seems to be the thing I can't do. We'll get there. We'll get there. And if, you know, if something ends up and it dies, you know, it's not been functioning for most of my life. So we'll just deal with it and go on. That's all you can do. I'm pulling my loop back out so I can push my thread through. Okay. Need to do a square knot here with the top. Cut my extras off. Okay, now we've got both of those reinforced. So I can turn them right side out again. Cast roll is great. Oh, thank you, Mary. I try. I don't like for people to get stuff that's going to fall apart. As a matter of fact, if you ever buy something from me and you come back and tell me it's had an issue, you can send it to me and I'll fix it and send it back. I'm one of those. I'm like, send it back, I'll fix it. But now if you've got a 5-year-old that takes it and catches it on a doorknob and rips it in two, that's your problem. But now if normal wear and tear it falls apart, send it back to me, I'll fix it. That's kind of how I roll. Okay, now when I get this in here, it will be very tight at the very ends. And those knobs that have the last sewing hole on them, they will kind of push against those knots we just put at the end of our divots. Okay, so now I'm going to start sewing in these holes. I'm going to open this up. See, when I cut those divots, it allows it to open up with the mechanism. See, I'm not an engineer, but sometimes I feel like one when I'm making these stupid things. Okay, so I'm going to have to switch to a smaller needle. And what I'm going to have to do before I do anything is patch this hole right up here. So we're going to patch a hole, and then we're going to switch to a much smaller needle. Unroll. But this thread is really top notch. Now I'm telling you, it is. So the way we use it on the raccoon skin hats, the coyote hats, the bobcat hats. If I do like a wall hanger or something, I use it on the wall hangings. I have what I believe to be a Sioux painted ceremonial hide. I got it at auction. I recognize the pattern. It's a very not very often painted pattern. I'm trying to find the meaning behind it. I'm trying to find actually a organization that can verify the authenticity, because I actually believe I have the real deal. And I can't sell it as something until I have it authenticated. And honestly, I think if it came back authenticated, I don't think I'd be able to sell it. I'd be like, sorry, you have to live with me now. I have it displayed in my hallway right now. This is the only place I have enough room to hang it. It's huge. It's a full whitetail hide. It has, let me pucker this person here. It has the whole hide. My nose is, it has the whole hide in on it. And it had to be a Manitoba or a Canadian whitetail. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. So it had to be one of those, larger area whitetails where they grow them corn-fed and gigantic. And the hair on it is so dense. It had to be also brain tanned, because it's got the qualities to it that make me think it was slow tan and brain tanned, which is something that is not done very often anymore by hardly anyone. I know how to do it. It's just like a multi-day process. It's not fun. Like when you start brain tanning something, by the time you flesh it and deal with it and then brain tan it, you're looking at a couple of weeks with that hide. And it has to be done in the correct timing or it will not work at all. So I think it's going to be really pretty. Of course, I like fur and I like natural things. And I think someone that really wants a natural item is going to really like this. The Coyote Possibilities bag, which was much more rustic than this one, it sold and went to Florida, Port Richey, Florida. Heck, if I'd known that, I'd have just took it half the way with me. That was a long trip, y'all. That was a long trip. But it ended up in Port Richey, Florida. So, and that guy loved it. He got it and absolutely loved it. We get such great feedback. And David's so proud of his shop. And I'm glad that, even though I'm just trying to maintain my sanity, I can help him in some way. Now, I locked that in stitch, but I'm going to go back again because have y'all figured out I do things a little OCD here. But I'm glad that, the stuff that I like to do can help him. And, but I wish I could do it more consistently, but with my health, I just cannot. But when I feel good, I'm always making something. And I'm actually really tickled that I picked up crochet, because on the days that I'm forced to sit really still, I'm still doing something. And so I feel much more productive. Even when I'm having a flare or really sick, I feel much more productive. That makes me feel better. I can't explain why, but it does. I guess it's just my mentality that I should be always doing something. I grew up where, sometimes before I went to school a lot, I'd go and work 2 chicken houses. And then after school, I was working cattle and horses, and constantly doing something. Weekends, I had livestock shows. I had horses I'd ride down for people. I had cattle I would halter break, show cattle I'd halter break for farms. And so I never had a lot of free time. I was always constantly doing something with my time. And so I just feel better when I'm doing something. And so now that I've, gotten the crochet bug, I can, even though I'm sitting still, I still feel like I'm accomplishing something. So I think it helps. I mean, it may just completely be psychological, and I'm okay with that because it still works. All right, and I'm going back and locking on my work, in case you're wondering what I'm doing. I'm pull that over top really tight. There we go. I'm gonna leave some tails on this because I may have to pull it around. Ow! I may have to pull it around the mechanism as I stitch it. Okay, and we're gonna have one more little one right here to do. Honestly, I wouldn't really worry about it, but it's by the seam, and so I want to worry about it. These are also in the back. So most of the time they'll wear it to where the tail is showing. So these will be in what we look at as the back of the pocketbook, but I still want them to look, you can't tell they're there and they're reinforced. I don't want anybody to buy a bad thing. So, and it may end up that he doesn't want to sell this and I'm going to be able to pack it. This isn't as much of a primary hole as anything else. And how they get these holes is just in the skinning, fleshing process. It's just skin, and sometimes skin will have thinner spots and thicker spots. And so this is just where they had a thinner spot, or there may have been more fat attached here. And you just, when you're fleshing, the skin changes. If you don't feel the pressure immediately with your hands, you might make a mislip, or it just had a weak spot and it was, just not going to work out to be a great little spot anyway. And so 9 times out of 10, if they just want to display hide, you don't even have to worry about this because it's not going to show. The fur hides it, and it's not going to be, stressed and used. But in this sense, it's going to be used. Your hand's going to be in and out of this, and I don't want it to give. So thus, I'm in a conundrum to sew a lot more than I probably want to, but I feel the need to. And these needles are so dangerous. I have so many scars from these needles, but they're doozies. They'll get through your leather. Now, on some of the leather, I have to even use pliers. That's fun. But, has to be done. I'm using my needle to tie my knots. Don't poke me. Thank you. Go through this way. I do square knots to lock them, reinforce them, and then I can cut this really close to the knot. And I know it's going to be okay because I square knotted it. Okay, and then I'll go back and get all this hair out of the seam. And you can't tell when I get all the hair out, since you can't tell where I've sewn. Now, this is the first time I'm going to be sewing one of these clutches in like this, and I'm kind of terrified. I'm not even going to lie. I'm kind of terrified of it. I'm going to get a much smaller needle. I'm going to put this needle back up. I'm going to get a much smaller needle, and I'm kind of terrified of it. I could use a curved one, but with my disorder, I don't always feel the curved ones move. Oh, and I don't want to take a chance on really puncturing myself 50,000 times. Let's see if this little needle will thread with this thread. Because there's a possibility it won't. This is some really stout thread, y'all. And I have broken needles sewing these things. I have broken sewing machine needles, industrial sewing machine needles. Because I'm special. Come on, you can do it. It wants to. Let's see if it'll get through there. If not, I'll have to go on the hunt of a different needle. Ugh. Barely got my glasses on, but hey, it works. Oh, come on. Don't be a booger. Go through the needle. Y'all, if I had my eyesight back that I had when I was a child, I would never complain about anything ever again. Now, I'm going to have to do a pretty long string, but I think the trick to this is going to be to use multiple and just do several holes at a time, then do more, and then that way if one comes unraveled, the whole thing doesn't come unraveled. You have a salvation point is what I call them. And so if they need to get a repair, they can send it back, and I have a spot that caught my hair. It's wind is horrible here today. I have a spot where it caught and didn't unravel anymore. Okay, so this is going to have to be open when we sew it so I can get through, because it's got holes on both sides, so I have to sew both sides. And then people go, why do they cost as much as they cost? So they're a lot of work, y'all. They're a lot of work. And we also have to get it wedged back in here. And it is tight. When it gets wedged in here, it's tight. That's where I want it. And that's where I want it. Okay, let's open her up. Okay. Okay. Got her opened up, and we're going to start stitching. Oh, Lord, let this go get place. Now, the first few are going to be very difficult because I have to get right on in here. Way down in here. Pliers are sometimes a necessity when you sew leather. Yep. Now, can I pull it with my fingers? Yeah. Pliers have become my best friends as I do leather working. Okay, we're going to go out that hole. When I get a few anchors done, it'll be better. Come on. Out that hole. Out that hole. Keep your hide tight. Then we're going to go in the next one. This is where I struggle to get the first few. Once you get them in a line, it's not that bad. Oh my God. Okay. And routinely, as you're sewing this, open it and close it, open it and close it. So you can kind of test how your fur is laying. That needle barely fits too. So if you buy one of these, the holes are very small. So just be aware you may be using an awl to punch and actually push. To punch and actually push thread through. So just be aware of that. That's my warning to you. So I anchored this side right here. That was the first one. Now we're going to go down and sew all of these. And I'm not going to be able to do this whole thing on live. But I'm going to wedge it back over here. And that's good. As I get it attached, it seems like it's going to have more room. So it's not going to be as tight. That's good. I'm going to pop a nail off as soon as I'm sitting here. I'm going to pop a nail off. Okay. Try to keep your mechanism kind of in where it's supposed to be so that you can see how it's going to lay at all times. And there may be a thing that I have to put this side a little lower. No, that's okay. That's okay. It looks good. Okay, let's try this again now. And probably what you should do if you had 2 of these needles, you know, very easy to grab, you should probably do one anchor this side and then go over and anchor your other side so it's not going to move as much. And probably when I get done off this live, I probably will do that, but I'm not going to do it right now because I would have to undo what I'm doing on this other side. So, but every time you make a stitch, go back and put your mechanism back in and make sure it's landing where you want it to land. Just so you make sure it's going in where you want it to go in. And you can also back loop and like go up 2 and then back stitch through 1 hole, go up through 2 and back stitch through 1 hole. What I'm going to do is do it 1 all the way around, and then I'm going to trim off my fur, and then I'm going to back through and I'm going to whip stitch. And I may do that with a pretty leather. I don't know. I may do it with, it depends on if I want it to show or not. I may do it with a leather. I may do it with this. We'll see what strikes my fancy when I get done. So I'm going to go up to the next one. Kind of have to touch the hide and then put your needle in and search for the hole. It's just kind of what you have to do. Let me in. Thank you. Let me in. Boy, that last little bit is just a lot of crap for the needle to go through. There we go. Okay. Now put your mechanism back. Okay, we're still doing good. We're still in a row here. Now I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to go back 1 hole and just do a back stitch. Because I'm OCD. Which I think the people that buy my stuff, I think, like, thank you for being OCD. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. I already have this one half anchored, so it shouldn't be as difficult. Ha 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 ha, she said. I'm going to punch it in and then go back and look for the hole. And I'm going to repeat through that same hole. And if I have enough room to go back and whip stitch, these little tiny holes, I may not. That's why I'm using a really awesome thread, because I don't want somebody to get this and it fall apart. So I'm using a doubled up waxed twine with a metal inlay. Okay, we're still going good. So when I get all this sewed in, I will then go back and trim, very carefully trim this hide off. I will probably use probably a whip stitch or a little bit of that really awesome glue and curl it in so that it looks like the fur is butted up against the mechanism and not, you won't see the edge of the garment quality hide underneath. And that will make me feel better. I like a cleaner edge. Now the rustic ones I don't really care, but these I like a cleaner edge. Okay, now we're going to go out. So what I'll probably do is go out, in, out, and then back down, in, and repeat like every 3rd stitch. Just for my sanity and to know that it's got an extra little security built in there. This is one of those things, you know, you're sitting down in the evening trying to be quiet. I put a towel or a pillowcase over my lap, and I sit there and I stitch. The towel or the pillowcase to catch everything that I drop as I'm working, because it's going to happen. So it won't go down the chair, because that's my my problem. I drop stuff and it goes down the chair and I'll never find it. So I sit with a pillowcase or a towel on my lap to catch everything I may drop, needles and stuff. And that way I don't have to go dive for stuff after I've been sewing. Just put it in my bag and walk away from it. Oh, that one went through. Hey. Oh my gosh. You got to have hand strength, and I just don't today. I don't have hand strength today. Gosh. So if you ever see anybody that's sewing leather hides and crafts for you, be nice to them. It's hard. It's very hard. Okay, now I'm going to repeat this one and go back down under the other one. I'm going to go back to the last hole and re-secure this one. If I can find it. Push in front. There's my needle. Go over now. Go over, go over, go over. Go back through the hole. You can do it. I believe in you. Get in there. This little needle, it doesn't want to go through the hide easily, and then I have to like search for the hole that I'm going to want to go through. Oh, there we go. There we go. I got it. I found it. Okay, somebody call me grandma. Yeah, back stitches are, you know, just what you're taught for safety. And that's why I always back stitch, or I'll go back and whip stitch over what I just stitched if it's got an edge on it. I don't mind a blanket stitch for decorative purposes either, but and then make sure that you're still staying on the even. And now we're going to repeat through that. We're in the same hole that we were in a minute ago because I back stitched that time. So we're going to push it back through. Now I have literally got to right here. So you can imagine how long two of these take. And so this is not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. But they're very pretty and they're very rewarding to make. And I like to keep the fur crafts and stuff alive. And I love it when the kids and the teenagers are interested again in this stuff and wanting to learn, you know, these crafts and, you know, keep history alive. You know, and, you know, but people are always worried about if you appropriate culture. We don't care. Like I'm native. I'm half native. And the thing is we didn't care. As long as you appreciated it and enjoyed it, we didn't care. We wanted to celebrate what we enjoyed about our own culture. So if you enjoyed it, that was even great. You know, that was even greater. We were happy about that. So I don't always understand the mindset of people today. Because if you don't care for something enough to emulate it, then how is it going to stay alive? And I think maybe they've done that just for that reason. Now, if you have 2 needles in time, go over here and anchor this so you don't have to constantly look back and forth. But I'm being lazy. Well, I don't want to stop and do that when I'm showing you all this. So this is actually adhering very, very securely to this mechanism. I'm actually quite impressed. Ow, I just stabbed myself. I'm quite impressed so far. Except for the needle. I may have to go in search of a better needle. So, but I'm not mad at it so far. Actually got through the hole on first try. Hey, I'm doing great. My pliers look good too. Pliers are, even I've got these hid all over the house. So wherever I am working, I've got some that I can use to pull because I've done so much leather stitching in the last few years between the hats and everything else. Oh, and that mantle that I sewed. Lord have mercy, that thing took me. I lost count of the stitches on it. But the girl that got that mantle is going to kind of doll it on up for a Renaissance festival. So I'm excited to see what she does with it. And in another couple weeks, we'll know what the donated items went for at that Boys and Girls Club. There's a Boys and Girls Center in the neighboring county. We always donate to their auctions. Ugh, you will get hair up your nose doing this. We always donate to their auctions, and I'm anxious to see what the 3 items we donated this year brought. I donated some slab art that I put a canvas on and painted in. I donated the foxtail wreath that we did. Now I'm going to have to backstitch in. I donated foxtail wreath that we did, and I donated that Au Naturel dream catcher with the wheat. Ow! So I'm anxious to see how much those brought for them. She always is very sweet and tells us. We normally offer them a beaver hoop, but we did not have one made this year, and it's just because winter was rough this year, y'all. And we normally give them a big beaver hoop, and we were like, sorry, winter has been wintering. And we don't have that made. We had to survive this winter. That was survival was on everybody's mind. Okay, come on. We got to go back through and backstitch now. I'm pushing on the edge of the fabric, on the edge of the leather, and then I'm going back to try to find the hole. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you just have to punch through and then cheat and go back here and look. That's okay. If you have to cheat every now and again, it's okay. If I get somewhere on a crochet pattern and I get 3 stitches short, you bet your sweet bippy I'm not frogging my last 2 layers. I'm going to go down and I'm going to add a decrease a couple places. Or add an increase a couple places. And that's what I do. And I decrease it if I'm over too. Okay, so now we've got that much sewn on. So we're about a quarter of the way through this. It's going to take me a while. And this is going to be something, after I stitch, I'm going to very carefully trim. And we'll see how much room I have. If I don't have a lot of room, what I'll do is either I'll whip stitch it down and fold it under so that the fur is the only thing that shows. Or I will use that really awesome glue that I have. It depends on how much hide I can leave when I trim. That way it looks like it's embedded into the fur and you don't see the sewing. Which, I mean, I don't mind to see sewing, but somebody else might. So that's what I'll do to make it look really finished. And I'm excited to get this done, but it's going to be one of those that I'm going to be sewing on for a while because of the 2 sides. That's why we went ahead, Annette, I don't know if you saw. Oh, here's it. We went ahead and put this really quick little handle in this guy. So this is the top half of this raccoon. This is the bottom half of the raccoon. He made me 2 bags. I need to go out and brush him really good, push my corners back out, and I'm going to clip his nose to where it dries like this because I've had him in a bag and it buckled up. And then he will be ready to go to his forever home. And he's just enough for a cell phone, you know, a little wallet, cell phone, keys. But I do like the handle. And the handles come with 2 in a set, so I can do 2 bags. Because I only take 1. So I'm very tickled with him. He's just a tiny little outing, catch somebody's glimpse kind of bag. I like him a lot. So I'll go outside and brush him. Yeah, creative. It's all about creative solutions. I'm all about that because I'm going to mess up. I know me. I'm going to mess up. So we got to figure out how to fix it because I'm not undoing like 7 rows of crochet. But I'm currently crocheting a catfish pattern, which so far is going pretty doggone well. And it's going to be like that big. And the next one's going to be like that big because I'm going to go up a size in yarn. And I think I'm going to let David sell both of those. I've got my eye on a few other skeins of yarn that I want because my physical therapist is wanting a multi-black and gray turtle. I don't know why, but that's what she wants. And so I thought I might try to whip that up for her. She's a sweetheart. She helps me so much. And she's so sweet. And she's like me. So we just, we have a really good back and forth banter when she's here. And I enjoy that. So every time she takes a liking to something, I'm like, oh. and I take a mental note, and then I try to make it. And she never asks for it, but I try to make it. Doggone it. This hide is tough in this spot. They have places where they have really good fur, and they have places where the fur's not that great, the skin's not that great. And you just have to understand that no matter how great the tanning was done, this is just its skin, and they're going to have thick spots, thin spots, and you just got to deal with it. So, and I'm going to, as soon as I stop this live, I'm going to tack this edge so I can stop doing this and checking that way to stay there. Okay. We're doing okay. I want to make sure I put it in the right way so it's not cattywampus, because I'll do that too. I'm really good with that. Well, I love that small bag. I like little bags like that. They pack a big punch, you know, but they're just a cute little, easy to carry, you know, but when people notice them, it's fun. Lord. I'm going to give that to David in just a minute. Because he's like, I need to put some new stuff on the shop. It's kind of sat for a little while. He's like, they're still favoriting items. He said, but nothing's changed. He said, I need stuff to change. And I was like, oh, he's going to go through some stuff. And we've also got, I say we like I'm doing all this. He's also got that festival coming up the 26th of April. And he wants to have enough stuff to go there. But he's trying to keep his store. Of course, the stuff we have in the store, we can take, and as we sell it, it'll take it out of the store stock. That Square is really good for that. Like, if you use Square and you've got it linked to your Etsy store, when David sells something physically, it will also take it out of his shop. So it sells the item. So that's helpful. So that we don't sell two of something we only have one of. And all of our stuff is like, it's an individual product. Like, you can't replicate it perfectly. So he has to do individual postings for each product, even if they're hides, because they're all slightly different. He wants people to see what they're getting. So he does individual postings for everything. It's a little bit more money on his end, but he feels better about it. Oh, no, come on. I see you. Just get in there. This sewing experience is probably not my favorite. But then again, I'm not a huge hand sewer. I mean, I can do it. It's just not my favorite thing. My mother is currently hand embroidering an entire queen or king size quilt. I don't know. I forget which one. And I offered when I was down there and to come down on, you know, I said, next time I'm here, I said, I'll be back. I said, next time I'm here, I said, just bring it up and I'll work on one end, you work on the other, and eventually in the middle we'll meet. But it's for my nephew's wife who, they just got married last summer. So it's we started giving them their double wedding ring quilt. But it's kind of like every time somebody has a baby or gets married, or everybody gets a quilt. It's just what we do. Everybody gets a quilt. And so this one's for her as well. And she's just a sweetie pie. She's literally probably the sweetest little thing I've ever seen. And so Mom's making her another one. She took one to Haley when we went down to visit Haley and the twins. We take quilts everywhere we go. We just sprinkle them around. And if you look behind me, this navy blue and light blue check is a baby blanket that is handmade. It's hand tacked with a blue twine yarn, and it's hand sewn, hand done. I think I did the initial blocks with the sewing machine, and then everything else I finished with handwork. Mom had it on a little display thing and had it put away for a long time, and she was like, oh, do you want to take this home? I've had it forever. And I was like, I forgot I made that all those years ago. And so I brought it home, and I don't know if I'm going to keep it or if I'm going to let David sell it or take it with it. I don't know. I mean, it's just a hand done one. You know, it's perfect size for a baby. And I'm not going to get much use out of it. I mean, it looks pretty on my quilt rack. But I'm not going to get much use out of it. And I had forgot I ever made it. Which, you know, oopsie. I don't remember everything I do. Do you? I don't. I'm tickled with this. Even though it's a lot of work, I'm tickled with these closures that I found. Because I think they're very unique. Okay, I'm gonna go one more and then I'm gonna backstitch. I've got a pattern. I've got a pattern going on the inside. I don't know if you can see. I've got a pattern where I'm backstitching. So I don't want to mess up my pattern. Vanity. And I really need to stop and tack that, but I'm okay. Yeah, we take pocketbooks we take quilts everywhere we go. If we're visiting somebody we've not seen, that is like the go-to. Howdy, we haven't seen you in a while. Here's a quilt. And of course, Mom normally has, you know, 5 to 7 in rotation at any time. I got that one through. Huh. So she's constantly quilting, and I'm constantly sewing dead things. It is what it is. I hear David. I think he's coming in for lunch. He's been going since his feet hit the ground this morning. I've not seen him at all. I got here yesterday, and I went straight into physical therapy. And he came in from work, set his thing on the counter somewhere, deliver something, and left. And I was like, hi, bye. He doesn't get a lot of rest time. Huh. Did it? No, way off. Man, I was getting a little too cocky there. Got it that time, though. Now, tying these off are probably going to be the worst part of this. Maybe not. Let's see. I'm going to tie this off because I know if I get much less thread on this, we're going to have a problem with tying it off. So I'm scooting it through the last stitch work because it's in a little cavern dip. Oh, get on through there. In the mechanism itself, so it's anyway, and having a few pieces secure this is, like I said, it's a safety thing. So if something unravels, it will stop in a few stitches, and I call it a salvation spot, and that way you can fix it more easily than if the whole thing came unraveled, because that's a pain in the so we always want a little safety stitch in there. It makes life better. Now I'm going to hook this through here, and I'm going to pull it really hard, tie it off. Okay, so we have about half of the first one done. As you see, it's holding really good. It looks decent from the inside where it's stitched, and I think when I trim it and fold it and just whip stitch, whether I whip stitch over the edge or glue it, it's going to just show fur. And I'm so far super tickled with this thing. So let me close them and wedge them back in here. So far I'm tickled. So far I'm tickled. And the edges of these, I'm wedging them right out. The edges of these are so pretty. And I'm going to go through, they've got a hole in them right here. I'm going to go through them and stitch around it and pull that to it a little bit more. When I do the other side, it probably will. But the edges on these have a little decorative bobble over here. So when you sew and the edge gets flipped over on the outside, it is very pretty. It's decorative. So it's going to end up being nice. Yeah, the only spinning I've ever done myself is I've done that rock hand spinning a couple times. We used to have sheep, and when we would shear them every spring, and sometimes he would sell. We had natural colors. He would sell some of their wool, and the little lady that would buy it, she hand spun everything. So we kind of learned from her. We would just do the rock hand spinning. It's a rock, and you twist it and spin it, and you start to weave. It's very simple. But she kind of taught us how to do that, and so I've even done that. But I know that a lot of people don't see these things, and they don't appreciate them. And a lot of people that aren't raised with things, they don't appreciate what they're not raised with. And it makes me sad for the people raised, like, everyone's a diverse and, very, want to live in a diverse place, but you're not allowed to embrace or replicate anyone else's culture in today's society, which I say to, because I'm going to do it anyway. If I like something, I'm going to do it. And you should take that as a huge compliment, because I'm Native and I get tickled when people, even when they tongue in cheek, I get tickled that they thought about another culture for 5 seconds and they still know something about that culture. I get tickled with it. I'm like, hey, keep it alive. Do what you got to do. But people raised in cities that are raised in, they think my city's so diverse and I know so much. But actually, you cut yourself off from retaining that knowledge because you never interact with it and you never replicate it. You never imitate it. You don't store it to long-term memory. And so then we lose our oral history, because eventually everybody that's raised in a city, they don't take in that information, so they don't remember it. They don't talk about it because they don't want to offend somebody. So then the history dies. The culture dies. And so I would rather people talk about it and keep it alive. It's just me. Well, it's tedious. I'll tell you, spinning is tedious. And I've done what little bit I've done. I was like, it's enough for me. It's enough for me. So I'm going to tack this while I'm sitting here so I don't have to chase it. I may go this way this time. I just really like this bag. He's got one butt cheek bigger than the other, so I think he'll kind of always look a little cattywampus. And that little divot where it's that thing that goes on the edge, it sits right on where we reinforce those corners, y'all. It's just such a good idea to always reinforce your stitching. For multiple reasons. So just to remind y'all while I did that, that's also a place for that, the weight of that corner on this mechanism to sit and to still have strength. So it's sitting on all that sewing I did in that corner. So it won't pull on that corner. On the fur, it will pull on the stitching, which is going to last, pretty long. I mean, it should last longer than probably I will, but it should last long enough to protect this during the lifetime of whoever wants to use it. Now we're going to try to get back through stitch. I'm going to have to open windows. It's getting plumb hot here. Come back through if you can. There we go. And this is our first stitch, so we're going to go through the doubled up thread and hook it. And this way, I'm not chasing that and have to look at it every couple of times. That'll work. It'll make me happy. But looping over these handles every time is not going to make me happy. Putting a knot in my twine is not going to make me happy either. Come on. Thank you. So I'm fixing to go out because it's getting really hot in the house. I'm going to open windows, and I'm going to go outside and work my flower bedding on the front porch a little bit. I'm going to get my front porch cleaned off from where March has made everything go sideways from the wind. And then I'm going to put up my bird fountain that I showed you at the first of the video. So if you didn't get to see that, you can go back and watch that. I'm going to sweat to death. And then I'm going to sit on the porch and crochet a while. Because I'm still taking it easy from traveling because that wore me out. I broke a sweat on this thing. You know I'm focusing if I'm breaking a sweat. It is getting really warm in here. It's getting really warm in here. Oh, hang on, I missed that. I need to make some small yarn pros. Yeah, reinforcing stress points is so important. And the name of the Etsy store, how you doing? The name of the Etsy store is Hillbilly Heart Decor. Oh, I hear another door shutting. I know he's milling around. I hear him. I don't know what he's doing. I'm fixing to have to eat me some lunch, too. Get in there. You can do it. Come on. Y'all ever, like, talk to your needle and beg it to go through the right place? This is going to be one of those that's going to take me, like, a full evening or morning and evening to do. Because it's just a tedious stitching, but, I mean, it's... I kind of get in a zone. So I don't really mind it. I enjoy it. Except for when my thread knots. I don't enjoy that. If you go to that, send me pictures. I've never been to one. I've had wool go to them. I've never been to one. Oh yeah, I try to, the Amish people that do such great work, like Curtis, you know, I needed some bone work, and he was my go-to guy for so many years, and he was not local, but he was, you know, small business, native owned. And I miss him so much because trying to find another bone bead person I mean, I like the quality of what I got from the new people. I don't know if we're a match yet or not, because Curtis and I would talk about what I needed, and he could like custom make stuff, and they see more about bulk purchases, and I like the little small, you know, that do a lot of handcrafting, and they use a lot of machines too, but I get the burnt ones, so I know they're getting handcrafted at some point. But I miss Curtis. Curtis was my guy. He did such awesome work, but he's, you know, I understand he got to an age where he just needed to hang it up, and I'll get there one day too. But man, he was good at what he did, and so friendly. But yeah, I like to keep smaller people employed, people that are really close to their histories and their culture and their knowledge, and you want to keep those people employed before you keep organizations and companies employed. And so I do get stuff on Temu, but in my daily life, I probably buy 90% of what I get from local area businesses or small, very small businesses. I try to go to the Amish as much as I can for what I need, because I really enjoy their quality control they have. It's awesome. And they're very personable. Once you get to know them, they're very, even though I'm covered in tattoos, once you get to know them, they're very personable. So once they get over the fear of my tattoos, they're normally very easy to, we form a bond. Oh, are they? You know, they've been after that one guy for the meat membership thing that he had, and listen, they're just doing that because they want to control our food on such a level that it is not okay with it. Like I said, the government's the best chop shop. Government is the best chop shop. They take everything, take it apart, because they don't want you to be able to do it yourself. That's why when everybody was like, how did the price of eggs go up and not the price of chicken meat? Well, because laying hens are much different from broiler house meat chickens. It's two separate lines of businesses that they created by specific genetic, I call it genetic transformation, or, you know, they just altered it. And I'm going to backstitch now. And so the person asked me that, they didn't understand that. He does now. But there's a chop shop. It's a chop shop. Is it medical? Oh, are they yelling at them about the vaccines? Hey, make your own mind up, people. The world is dangerous enough and worry about somebody else getting a shot. And I'll tell you why the government is so hell-bent on vaccines right now. It's because they let everything into our country that had not been vaccinated, and we've been vaccinated for so long that the vaccines don't hold up for the new forms of those sicknesses. And so they're afraid that they'll start spreading again, so they're trying to scare everybody into vaccination. And I'm like, I think it's a little late for that. I think the ship has sailed on thinking we want all your vaccines anymore. But people whining about these tariffs have never looked at the business transactions between countries. Like, we were the only ones really getting our butts handed to us on tariffs. We were basically sending everything out for free. We were paying sometimes over 100% tariffs just to be able to have businesses in those areas and to ship. And it was like, people, hello, we're just asking for a fair deal. It's going to a business transaction now instead of a good old boy, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And I'm much more comfortable with a business transaction between nations, because this good old boy crap, it don't work on a small scale and it don't work on a big scale. So I'm fine with business transactions. And I hope everybody starts to look into that and they stop whining about what they see in America and they look at it from a worldwide platform and they go, oh, well, America's just finally doing what the rest of the world's been doing. Yeah, we kind of need to. Our politicians have kind of put us in a bad position and where we kind of need to get back to basics and basic business practices, and that would be some tariffs. That would be some business agreements instead of good old boy crap. $150,000 fine. Good luck getting that from an Amish man. They ain't gonna part with nothing. People's too money smart. I just think it's crazy. I think it's crazy. You do know that they are now putting vaccines in beef meat and honeybees. They just released the first vaccinated population of honeybees out west. Y'all, it's going to get to where people aren't people anymore. And, you know, what's going to happen to the rest of the honeybees if this is a flop? That's what worries me, is people don't always think, how in the crap did I do that? Oh, that's how I did that. People don't always think about long-term consequences. And for me personally, that's probably the worst thing I think about, because I've got grandkids. And I don't know how politicians that have grandbabies, I don't know how they make these decisions and act like it, you know, doesn't haunt them at night. It should. It should haunt them a lot. This is the last one on this side, y'all. If I can get, there we go. This is going to be a tedious thing, but that's okay. Somebody will enjoy it, and that will make it all worth it. Now, I'm going to go and double sew these at the top up here. So I've already been through them once, but I'm going to go from here to here over this clasp and just add a little bit more stability to the sewing beneath the clasp, because it's going to have probably a little bit more stress on it. The most annoying thing is I keep getting caught on the handles. So I'm going to reinforce this area right here. The same as a little thick spot, but I'm hoping whoever buys this understands. You kind of have to reinforce, and it's going to have to happen. Just let it happen. One over too many. Well, I tell you what, these little tiny holes to sew in are about to drive me nuts. I hear David doing something. I don't know what he's doing. Dad, burn it, Elvis. Oh gosh, somebody almost hit Mom at a 4-way stop the other day when she took me to the endocrinologist. And like she stopped and told them to go ahead because they got there at exactly the same time. Then he did the no, you go. And so she was like, okay, started to go. And then he started to go. And then he had his window down and he like flipped her off and started squawking stuff out his window. So I about climbed out my window and called him a few things. And I think I scared my mother. But the man in the truck went back in his window and left. And then I went right back to nice little me. I think I scared my mother. But I was like, you don't do that. Now I don't know who I hear. I hear something out there. I don't know what it is. That might be the mailman. I don't know. I can't see my cameras from where I am right now, so I don't know. Yeah, I think that was the mailman. Oh, gosh. See how long this poor needle lives. That's the most interesting part. Now, I've got a thread that came out the other side where I tied on. I'm going to pull it back through because I don't want it to be sewed out there. And then I'm going to eat me some lunch in a minute, and I'm going to go back outside and try to straighten up my porch and put out my bird bath with the fountain. So I have something to listen to while I'm out there crocheting. I normally sit on the back porch because it's screened in, but in the spring, I can sit on the front porch till the bugs get really bad. I don't like mosquitoes, but I like to enjoy the front porch, and that's where company normally sits. So, but during the winter, I just have to let it go because it's where all the wind hits. It's just horrible. You can't use it at all in the winter. I just let it go. Oh, good Lord. Get in there. Stop being a booger. Get in there. Get in there. But yeah, I think I scared Mom. I didn't mean to. I was just, that guy ticked me off. And of course, it's a college town with a bunch of young people, and they don't know how to behave anyway. So, but now I'm pretty much one of those people, the energy you give me is probably what you're going to get in return. And I think he figured that out. And he decided it was best just shut on it and move through the intersection. But we were almost late getting down to my appointment because we got behind a farmer that refused to pull off the road. I've never met a farmer that refuses to pull off the road, but I did the other day. So we were almost to the point where I was going to have to reschedule, and it's such a trek to get down there. And I was like, I'm not rescheduling. And so we were already in a bind getting down there, and then that guy pulled that behavior, and I was just, no, sir. There he comes. He's coming in now. I hear him now. He said good grief about something. Probably the wind. The wind is whipping again today. We got...
No, it ain't the wind.
I don't even know how to say your name, but hello.
Waspers.
Oh, waspers. You got waspers out today?
I killed about 75 in the back window just now.
Oh, yeah. We've got a garden window. One of those crank out garden windows with the 3 bays in the mudroom.
It's horrible.
And somehow the waspers get in and they just congregate in that window, and you have to be careful and kill them all. Every spring, it's like an army. They're horrible. Okay, so this side is done with the stitching. I'm going to have to go back and trim the fur off, but it's stitched. So it is fixed now. So I like this side, the trimming, and then to turn this under. And then we'll be done, y'all. So when I get done, I'll take pictures and I'll post it to the community. I'm going to call it the community page. It's the community page, YouTube. I'm going to post it to the community page. And I just felt the need to go back over these few spots under the clasp just to give it a little bit more added security. And that's just who I am. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to finish this with a locking stitch. And then I'm going to eat me some lunch, and then I'm going to go outside. So try to enjoy. If you're having a pretty day where you are, try to enjoy it. I know that we're expecting storms latter part of the weekend, but I'm going to try to enjoy today. It's going to warm enough that I can get out in it and not have to worry about the wind making me sick. So I'm going to enjoy it. Try to clean off my porch. Maybe switch my patio covers out on the furniture on the porch. And try to get my porch where I can actually sit up there and enjoy it. I think Sabrina may be visiting here in the next month or so. We are still wanting to do that interview. It may be something that we do it when she's here. Trying to time it with the firewall, her husband, so that he can do the tech stuff on her end and make sure everything's safe. That's been the biggest hiccup right now. That and sickness. We've all been sick with something, so. Yeah, I've been watching his page too, and we're having fires kind of everywhere around the mountain spots right now. I think a lot of it, and just y'all may hate me for this, but I think a lot of it is new people moving into the area that don't understand the burn ban and why it's so important. And then they go and it's pretty spring day and they're like, oh, I can burn. And then they catch like 3 ridges on fire and they don't understand they shouldn't have done that. So I think a lot of it is we're having a lot of new people that don't understand the consequences here. They think it's, I think the weather's like wherever they come from, and y'all that have watched my weather lately know it's not. It's so not. But Gatlinburg has a lot of problems with it. Of course, they have a lot of tourism there too, and a lot of those cabins are rented out, and people want to barbecue, and people want to have a fire pit, and they don't know. And then we do have just some people that are here that are just stupid and don't understand you don't burn when it's dry and windy. And so we've got a big pile made up of everything we trim and clean up the yard stuff, but it has to wait until we get into the rainy start of the season. And then when it's wet and the grass is super green, that's when we burn. So just got to be careful. Just a lot of people don't understand that anymore. I don't know how people don't know that if they make a fire, it can also go places, but apparently they don't understand that. I find that those simple things are the hardest things for people to understand sometimes. It bothers me a little bit, not gonna lie. Okay, so this side is on. I need to cut it. I'll cut it outside because I don't want hair to go everywhere. This side is on. And I'm tickled. I've anchored this corner so it won't fall anymore. Anxious to see what this will turn out looking like when I get it all the way done and trimmed and cut off. I'm going to try to turn that to where only fur shows. That's my hope. I can turn that to where only fur shows. I do have a spot here where there's a seam that is probably going to show something besides fur. But, whoever buys that will just have to know that's the luck of the draw when you're sewing fur. So when I get it done, I will definitely post pictures. And I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. You wish you could have seen that. I can get real nasty real quick. Can I, Dave? Mm-hmm. That's why I supervise the murders. But yeah, this area's got a lot of fires going on it now. Everybody keeps sending up some good energy and prayers for Ashley. She's going through a lot right now. Just lost her father. Just went through the services Wednesday and kind of dealing with family right now and trying to settle everything. It's not been the best experience for her, and I know she appreciates some good energy. And other than that, I'm starting to bounce back. I'm still terribly swollen from the trip, but I'm starting to bounce back. Feel better. I'm going to try to get some sunshine today and enjoy today. And I'm hoping to be back at my normal speed of crafting next week. But y'all know it's just my health and whatever I have to kind of do with that. But I am feeling better, and I do have projects going. As soon as I feel like hopping on and doing everything and sharing it, we'll be back to normal. David is going to have to think up something to do for a video, so he has something to post. So he's done with trapping. Season's done officially at this household now. And so he's going to have to figure out something to do to share with y'all as he goes through the year. And that's going to be difficult for him because he doesn't always like to video. So we're going to hop on that too. So we'll be back to posting stuff. Just y'all know with my health and when I have get to travel and stuff, it takes me a while to bounce back, but we're good. Okay, I'll post pictures when I get this done. And of course, if you want to go to Dave's shop, it's on Etsy. It's Hillbilly Heart Decor. It's Etsy.com/shop/Hillbilly Heart Decor, all one word. And don't know exactly what I still got on there, but as soon as I get these things done and he can take pictures and post them, they'll be on there. And I've got several more bags to make. The next one I make is going to be the Cody bag with a bottom and a manufactured bottom and top, which is going to be the Cody middle. Interested in how that's going to turn out too. So we've got a few things coming down the pipeline. But share that and send you friends and family there and let them know, we've got awesome decor, awesome prices. And we also have festivals starting up. So if they want to nab something, they need to nab it now when they see it, because with the festivals, there's going to be 2 competing consumer groups. And if you don't buy it on the site, we can still sell it in person and it will take it away from the site. So make sure you think about that. And she said, hi, Dave, the lady that sent us the packet with seeds and everything. She said, hello. Hey. Man, a few words. My dad is going to plant the watermelons and be on watermelon watch this summer. So he's excited about that. He's got a much better place for watermelons. So how do you say your name? Is it Rainier? Don't know how to say it. It looks pretty. I don't know how it sounds. Probably doesn't sound good in hillbilly tongue, but howdy, it's nice that you hung on with us and crafted with me for a minute. Not the most invigorating live, and I look horrible where I've been not putting on makeup to go outside and sweat. I'm just not. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day in the sunshine. Y'all have a great day. Make sure you come back when we're crafting, become part of the family, subscribe, check in. We're a really tight-knit, wonderful group here. Sometimes we get thrown in the algorithm and YouTube tries to drown me. We get troll traffic, but we always make it out. And I think it's slowing down now, y'all. So we're finding some gems to add to the family, but it's all getting better. Well, except for YouTube. But everything else is getting better. So come back. We'll get back to the cooking chats and stuff like that as my health gets better and I unswell from this big trip that I just had. We'll get back to normal. So thank you for spending time with me. Go have a great day. Do something that makes you smile. Bye, guys.